So for today's video, we are going to be doing this little kuchi kopi inspired little guy. I have a couple of versions once we get to his face. I've got the little tiny eyes and the straight mouth, or these little slits of eyes with a little peaked kind of mouth. And his arms will be sewn in, so he's kind of a no-sew till you get to his face and his ears, and then we gotta do a little bit of work there. Okay, for the arms, you're just gonna start how you normally would do an amigurumi with your chain 2 or your magic ring or any other way that you start. I'm gonna just do like a slip knot, except it doesn't slip. It's just a little knot, and then I leave that loop at the end to put my single crochets in. So you're gonna need 5 single crochets into this loop. For the way I'm doing it, you'll just grab your yarn, pull through, and do a little chain there, and then start your 5 single crochets. If you're doing it another way, just do it the same way you normally would if you needed 5 single crochets to start. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For row 2, you're just going to increase in each stitch around for a total of 10. I'm just going to throw my stitch marker in there. So get in that first stitch. I always have trouble on the very first one for some reason. Alright, so we're going to do 2 stitches, 2 single crochets, sorry, 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 in the next stitch. Five and 6 in the next stitch. Increase for 7 and 8 in the next stitch. And then our last increase, 9 and 10 in our last stitch. Flip your stitch marker. For row 3 to 6, we're just going to be doing 10 single crochets all the way around for each row. So that's 4 rows of 10. So I'm just going to count to 40 and just flip my stitch marker every time I get to the 10s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then I'm just going to keep on counting. So this is your next row of 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Next row of 10, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. And then one more row of 10, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. And if you need to check, you should have 6 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And get rid of my stitch marker. And you're just gonna, am I slip stitching? No, I'm not gonna. Okay. Just give that guy a little bit of stuffing, not too much, just a little tiny amount, just to make him kind of, you want him to be not flat, but you don't want him to be like a big poof either. I might even have a little too much in mine, because his arms stick out instead of down. Try that. And then you're just going to seal this up with single crochets. And you should have about 4 of them. Tighten that. And then you're going to start in this stitch through both loops. And then this stitch here through both loops. So you're through both of the V's on each side. And you're just going to do that all the way to the other side. So 1. Get through both V's of the stitch. Sorry, the string is kind of in the way I'm showing it. So here's through both. So that's 2. And then in the next ones, each side is 3. And then in these last 2 here is 4. And then you will just tie that off. Put my scissors. Because I'm going to, I don't know how to explain this without showing you, but I'm going to be sewing these in. So if you want now, you can weave these in, but I like to keep them out and then make sure they're at the front of my guy. And then once I've got them sewn, crocheted around onto the body at the end, I take these ends and I put them through right here on both sides, pull them out the back, and then kind of tighten them. And then these kind of tighten up how I like them instead of them being more floppy. Like if you can kind of see, this is a little floppy in the back, but it's nice and tight on this side. You'll see as we get going here. So I am going to let you guys do your second arm. I'm going to do it off camera, but I'm going to re-put this whole thing in so that you guys can see, follow me again for the second one, and I don't have to video the second one. So you're going to need 5 single crochets into this loop. For the way I'm doing it, you'll just grab your yarn, pull through, and do a little chain there, and then start your 5 single crochets. If you're doing it another way, just do it the same way you normally would if you needed 5 single crochets to start. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For row 2, you're just going to increase in each stitch around for a total of 10. I'm just going to throw my stitch marker in there. So get in that first stitch. I always have trouble on the very first one for some reason. Alright, so we're going to do 2 stitches. 2 single crochets, sorry, 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 in the next stitch. 5 and 6 in the next stitch. Increase for 7 and 8 in the next stitch. And then our last increase, 9 and 10 in our last stitch. Flip your stitch marker. For row 3 to 6, we're just going to be doing 10 single crochets all the way around for each row. So that's 4 rows of 10. So I am just going to count to 40 and just flip my stitch marker every time I get to the 10s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then I'm just going to keep on counting. So this is your next row of 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Next row of 10, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. And then one more row of 10. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. And if you need to check, you should have 6 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And get rid of my stitch marker. And you're just gonna, am I slip stitching? No, I'm not gonna. Okay. Just give that guy a little bit of stuffing, not too much, just a little tiny amount. just to make them kind of, you want them to be not flat, but you don't want them to be like a big poof either. I might even have a little too much in mine, because his arms stick out instead of down. Try that. And then you're just going to seal this up with single crochets. And you should have about 4 of them. Tighten that. And then you're going to start in this stitch through both loops. And then this stitch here through both loops. So you're through both of the V's on each side. And you're just going to do that all the way to the other side. So 1, get through both V's of the stitch. Sorry, the string is kind of in the way I'm showing it. So here's through both. So that's 2. And then in the next ones, each side is 3. And then in these last 2 here is 4. And then you will just tie that off. My scissors. Okay, you should have 2 little arms done, and now we'll get started on the body. So you can start with your chain 2 or your magic circle, however you usually start your amigurumis. I am just going to do a little knot similar to a slip knot, only it doesn't slip. And I'm just going to do it about the size I'm going to need for 5 single crochets in the center. So you're going to start with 5 single crochets into this loop. So grab your yarn and do 1 chain just to secure all your single crochets. And then we'll do our 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that was round 1. For round 2, we're going to do 5 increases. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around for a total of 10. If I can get in there. I always have trouble with this first one. So 1 in the first stitch, and then your second in the first stitch for 2. And then we'll do 2 in the next stitch for 3 and 4. And 2 in the next stitch for 5 and 6. 2 in the next stitch for 7 and 8. 2 in the next stitch for 9 and 10. And I'm just going to grab a stitch marker. Just a scrap of yarn will do for me. So for row 3, you're going to do 10 increases. So same thing we just did, 2 stitches in each stitch all the way around. So 1 and 2. And then 3 and 4. 5 and 6 in the next stitch. 7 and 8 in the next stitch. 9 and 10 in the next stitch. 11 and 12 in the next stitch. 13 and 14, 15 and 16, 17 and 18, 19 and 20 in the last stitch. For round 4, you're just going to do 20 single crochets all the way around. So 1 single crochet in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. For round 5, you're going to do 3 single crochets and then 1 increase for a total of 25. So 1, 2, 3, and then an increase for 4 and 5. And 6, 7, 8, and an increase for 9 and 10. And just keep repeating that all the way around. So 11, 12, 13, and an increase for 14 and 15. And back to your repeat. 16, 17, 18, and an increase for 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, and your increase 24 and 25 in the last stitch. For round 6, you're just going to go all the way around, 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25 in the last stitch. For round 7, you're going to do 4 single crochets and then an increase, and repeat that all the way around for 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your increase for 5 and 6. Then back to repeat 7, 8, 9, 10, and increase 11 and 12. $13, $14, $15, $16, and your increase $17 and $18. And then your next repeat, $19, $20, $21, $22, and your increase for $23 and $24. And this should be our last set. $25, $26, $27, $28, and our increase for $29 and $30. Flip your stitch marker if you're using one. Alright, so row 8 to 12, we're just going to do 30 single crochets all the way around on each row. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 5 rows of 30 single crochets. You can get your stitch marker out if you need to. What round are we on? This will be, we finished 7. Oops, wrong way. So I always change my marker after I've done the row. So I have mine on 7 and we're starting on row number 8. So just 30 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, starting row 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. And just flip our stitch marker. Okay, so for round 10, another 30 single crochets all the way around. Whoops, got the wrong piece there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. We'll change our little stitch marker. So we finished row 10. We're on to row 11. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, ouch, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Okay, and so for our last round, round 12, not our last, but our last of 30, another round, and then we'll be decreasing, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So for row 13, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease, and then repeat that all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our decrease for 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, and then our decrease for 10. I'm going a little slow because I'm assuming most of you know the decrease, but just in case you don't. And then again, that was 10, so 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 for a decrease, which is just in and pull through, in the next stitch and pull through, and then pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So what was that, 15 or 20? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Sorry about that. 16, 17, 18, 19, and our decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and our decrease for 25. All right, so now we're going to do 2 rows of 25. So for row 14, it'll be 25 single crochets, and for row 15. So this is row 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So row 15, another 25 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And now for row 16, we're going to attach the arms. So we'll just put that down for a minute. Okay, now we're going to add the arms on row 16. So get your guy ready here. We're going to do 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Grab your arm. Whoops. Sorry about that. Now I don't know how I have everything. Okay. So I'm going to have my strings out here. So I'm going to have them pointing towards what's going to be the front. This is going to be the front. This is going to be the back where I have my stitch markers. And we're going to put, I'm holding the wrong yarn. So we're going to put our needle, our hook into the first single crochet of the arm under both V's of the stitch. And then we're going to come into this next stitch. You can see where our last stitch was right there. We're going to go into this next stitch right there. So it'll be our 6th stitch. So we're going to do 4 single crochets through the arms. So 1, and then get into the next stitch. Make sure you're through both of the V's of the single crochets on each side. 2, 3, 4, and our 4th and last one into the arm. And then we're going to do 8 single crochets. So you want to find where your last stitch went in, and then the next stitch is where you're going to start your 8 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then you're going to grab your next arm and make sure your string's pointing this way now. So it's pointing towards the front, just like this one's pointing towards the front. So it'll be the opposite of how you did your last one. Whoop. Go through that first single crochet of the arm. Make sure you're in the next single crochet right there. It's hard for me to show you and hold it right there. See, there's your stitch. So you're going into there. You may need to give it a tug if you've loosened it up, fiddling around trying to find it. We'll do 4 stitches through the arm and the body, just like the last one. 2, 3, and your fourth and last one through the arm and body. Then you should have, I think, 4 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now your arms are attached. Okay, for row 17, we're going to start increasing again. And we are going to be doing 4 single crochets and an increase for a total of 30. So it'll be going by 6s right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6 is an increase. 5, 6. And then repeat that all the way around. So 7, 8, 9, 10, and an increase for 11 and 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 and 18 is an increase. All right, 19, 20, 21, 22, and an increase for 23 and 24. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30 in the last stitch. I just got to rearrange here. I don't know what I did when I fixed this camera, but I can't reach what I'm after now. Try that. Okay. For row 18, we're going to do 5 single crochets and an increase for a total of 35. So we'll be counting by 7s. 1, 2, whoops, catching something there. 3, 4, 5, and an increase for 6 and 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and increase for 13 and 14. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and increase for 20 and 21. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and increase for 27 and 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, and increase for 34 and 35. Okay, for row 19 to 23, we're just going to do 5 rows of 35 single crochet. Hopefully. Okay. So row 19, 35 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. Okay, for row 20, another 35 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. All right, row 21. Just 35 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. All right, row 22. Another 35 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. All right, row 23. This will be our last row of 35. And then we'll start decreasing and closing this guy up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. Row 24, we're going to do 5 single crochets, 1 decrease, and then repeat that all the way around. 5, 6. So we'll be counting in sixes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a decrease for 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 will be a decrease. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 will be a decrease. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 will be a decrease. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30 will be a decrease. Row 25, we're just going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Okay, for row 26, we're going to be doing 4 single crochets and 1 decrease for a total of 25. I will also be counting by 5s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease for 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, and a decrease for 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, and decrease for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and a decrease for 25. Okay, row 27 will be 25 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. Okay, for row, what row? Row 28, I believe. We'll be doing 3 single crochets and a decrease for a total of 20. And we should be counting by 4s. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 is a decrease. 5, 6, 7, and 8 is a decrease. 9, 10, 11, and 12 is a decrease. 13, 14, 15, and 16 is a decrease. 17, 18, 19, and 20 is a decrease. All right, I think we'll stuff this guy here before we go any further. Okay, so get your stuffing. When you stuff this guy, you're going to want, oops, don't want to lose that. You're going to want to stuff him and kind of push him out to the sides a bit without stretching your stitches. Just kind of shape his head so it's a little more oblong-y than round. And you want him pretty firm. So just as you're doing his head, just kind of go to the sides a bit and kind of stretch that head sideways. You're going to want to kind of have a oh, I forgot what I was going to say. So he's a little fatter than rounder. Just get him so he's about there, and then you can add a little more later on as you close him up. Just remember which side you had as his front side. You can always add a little more stuffing after. Okay, so let's do round, I think 30. Did we do 20 without a decrease? No, we have one more row of 20 to do, I guess. So we should be on row 29. If I'm wrong, skip this row, but I'm pretty sure we want to be doing this row now, because I have 2 rows of 20 written down here. Okay, so 20 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, now we're going to go in the back loops. And if you do end up making a second one of these, do that row of 20 before you stuff it. It might make this row a little easier when you do it. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Okay, so for back loop, we are going to do 2 single crochets and a decrease. So you're just going to come and grab, instead of going down through here, you're going to come in between the V's and just grab that back stitch. So 1, 2, and then a decrease. So grab a back loop, pull your yarn through, grab the next back loop, pull your yarn through, and then pull through all 3 loops. So that was stitch number 3. 4, 5, and 6 will be a decrease. Try not to catch that stuffing when you're going in through there. Just push it down with your finger. I lost count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I'm on 9. That's why we use a stitch marker. I might be on 6, I might be on 9. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, and decrease. 2, and a decrease. 1, 2, and a decrease, and 1, 2, and a decrease. And that brings us to the end and should be 15 stitches. Okay. Now we're going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease, and we're going to go back to doing the regular stitch underneath the V's. So 1 and 2 is a decrease, 3 and 4 is a decrease, 5 and 6 is a decrease, 7 and 8 is a decrease, 9 and 10 is a decrease. Now, I don't think I'm going to add any more stuffing to him. Well, maybe. So, add a little bit more stuffing if you need to right now, and the next row, if you don't need to add any stuffing, will just be 5 decreases, and that's row 32. You want him firm enough that he's going to stand on his own, but that not so much that this is going to puff out. You want this side to be flat. See, you don't want it to be coming up like a circle. So I think that's enough. So we'll do our 5 decreases. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 will come right here. And then you'll just slip stitch. I think I can take this out. And then we'll just slip stitch into the next stitch and tie off. Yeah, that'll be okay. See, I did put a little bit too much stuffing in my arms. Okay, so I'll sew him up on the bottom. And you're just going to go in. I like to put my finger over the edge so I don't, over my string so I don't lose it, and so I know where my last stitch is. Then I just go in and out. I haven't decided if you should do 1 or 2 loops, so I'm going to do just the front loop on this one. Just back and forth, and then when you get back to your knot where your string is, you're just going to give it a tug. And then put a knot in there somewhere where you can bring it down through and hide it. So one thing I like about making mine from the top down, you can kind of, if you have to be messy down here, at least you're not going to see it. And then just tuck that up in there somewhere. You can thread it around here if you want. I'm pretty confident in my couple of knots I made. So I'm just going to bring it up and through the back somewhere. And then make sure that knot's on the inside instead of showing down there. If it's a little concave, that's okay. It actually might be better because it'll stand a little better. Give that a cut. Then I'll show you what I meant with the arms. If you thread those, if you kept those strings, and you'll just go down just in here in one of the stitches where it's joining. Whoops. It's hard to do around this camera, but, and then come out the back, kind of in the middle somewhere around the neck. And now see, when you give that a tug, it kind of makes it not loose there, like it would be loose, and it'll be tight here. So do the same thing on the other side. And I like to make sure I go across like this, just in case, because when you go in the round, sometimes it's on a slant, so this arm ends up here and the other arm ends down here. If you just kind of watch what row you're on there, you can kind of even them out a little bit. Give him a little tug. And you'll just tie the back. I'll do it 3 times. And then you're just going to slip these ends inside and cut them off. So next I think we're going to do the eyes and the ears. And we'll need 2 of each of those. There we go. Okay, so for the ears, I made 2 different sizes. This guy's actually a little bit bigger than this guy. We're doing actually this guy, but look at how they're kind of, this guy's still a little bigger. So I must have been making a looser stitch, or I stuffed this guy a little more. So this guy's ears are 3 rows, and this guy's ears are 2 rows. And depending on what size yours ended up, you might want to make 2 or 3. I was going to make this one 3 rows, but I think I changed my mind and he's only going to be 2 rows now. So I think they have littler ears than I made. So make your loop however you start. And we are going to put, excuse me, 5 single crochets into this loop that you made. However you're doing it, you're chaining, if you're slip stitching, if you're magic ringing. So if you're doing a loop like me, you're just going to make your first chain for securing it, and then you're going to do your 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you're just going to do 5 increases, so you have 10 stitches all the way around. I don't think I need a stitch marker, hopefully not. So 1 increase for 1 and 2. An increase for 3 and 4. Sorry, my voice is going here. Excuse me. Yep, I should have grabbed a stitch marker. I think I'm on 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then 5 and 6 in the next stitch. 7 and 8 in the next stitch. And 9 and 10 in the next stitch. And then slip stitch. And tie that off. Leave a little bit of a tail because we are not just sewing it on, but we're also going to go through all these stitches back and forth before we sew it on to close it up. Yeah, I think that's good size. Okay, so if you're making the bigger ears, just do one more row of 10 single crochets all the way around. I'll just do this. Might as well just do the second ear. It's pretty quick. Okay, so your 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then your 5 increases for a total of 10 stitches. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, and then slip stitch and tie off. Oh. All right, grab your darning needle. And you're just going to fold it in half, and you're just going to go, I like to put my first stitch inside like this so this knot comes in. And then you're just going to go back and forth. Just to close those stitches up, make sure you're going through the V's on both sides. And then when you sew your ear on, you're gonna just go through them again. And then to just catch this end here. And give it a bit of a squeeze. So it looks like this. And then you're just gonna line this up with the arms, and on about, if this is circle is row 1, this circle is row 2, somewhere just this side of your second row, so about there. So you have 1, 2, 1, 2. We could pin that on if we want right now, I guess. Just do the same thing with the other ear. both sides of each stitch, back and forth. I mean, you might have an easier way to sew these on if you do go for it. I hate the sewing part, and I hate to say hate, but I really do. So see how we have the first circle for our first round, and then this circle for our second round. So I'll just line it up about there on the second. I think it's come down a bit. Just make sure they're even and high, on the higher side, I think. But you don't want them touching like the center. All right, let's do the eyes. I'm gonna see if I have enough. This is an old hat. I was gonna make a unicorn hat, and I just didn't like this. I didn't like the openness of it. So let's see if we can get 2 eyeballs out of it. All right, so eyes we're gonna do, basically the same as the ears. 5 in the loop, and then 5 increases for 10. I guess when I shrunk the ear down, I didn't realize it was exactly the same. Because when I actually wrote the pattern, I did do the 3 rows for the ears. Okay, so however you're doing it, you're going to do 5 single crochets into the loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then just your 5 increases all the way around for a total of 10. Come on. I don't know, I should think about making this looser when I get started, because it's the only stitch I have a hard time. Seriously. If you ever get into this problem, if you take your darning needle and you put it in through, sometimes that's your saving grace, and your needle will just slide right in there next. So see, you've got a hole in there now, and it should, there we go, see? So 1 and 2 in that first stitch, and then just keep increasing till you get to 10. So 3 and 4. 5 and 6. 7 and 8. 9 and 10, and then you'll just do a slip stitch and tie off. And leave a bit of a tail, because you got to go all the way around your eye to sew this guy on. And I just realized that I was going to use safety eyes on this, and it's all sewn up. See, this guy is actually safety eyes, and then I just let him sit. I pushed it in through the white. I guess he's getting other kind of eyes. Alright, to do our second eye. So exactly the same way. You're going to do 5 into the loop, and then increase in each stitch, so you have a total of 10 in the second row. Okay. So 1, whoops. mistake there. I think I didn't grab all the thread. One, two, three, four. Oops, I'm all over the place. I'm not even looking in the camera. 5. And then we'll do our 10. So for round 1 and 2. Then increase again, 3 and 4. Increase again, 5 and 6. Increase again, 7 and 8. Increase again, 9 and 10. And then slip stitch. And I made her with that white. Okay. Oops. So for the eye, all I did, for the pupil, I guess, I went through one side in the middle, took most of my yarn through, whoops, not all of it, most of my yarn, just enough for tying, and it's supposed to be a little tiny dot, so if you can do a French knot, I forgot how, and I should have looked that up before I did this part, or you can use a little bead. You could have been smart and put your safety eye on there first. Some people I've seen use like a little dot of, is it fabric paint, which probably would be best. I don't know about durability, but looks wise. Anyway, so you're just going to catch a little tiny piece, just enough so that you're not in the center hole. Kind of like the smallest line you can make. And even then, that's not that small. And then just tie it in the back. Oops, off the camera again. You know, I do so good at the beginning of these videos, and then at the end, look at the mess I got here. Where's my other eye? So we'll just do the same on the second eye, and I made it so that it's down with the string pointing this way, so I'm going to do it down with the string pointing this way for the other eye. So when I sew them on, I'm coming around and ending on the outsides of the eyes. Let's see if I can get a little, same little piece here. I think I went too far, but I'll see. Oh no, that's not bad. Actually, that might be better. Okay, tie that up. Make sure they're kind of even. And then cut your ends off because you don't want them showing through your eye. You probably could have put a safety eye on now too, because his eyes kind of pop up a bit. So even if that back was here, the pop-up of it probably would be okay. This is a 6mm eye. Okay, so for placement of your eyeballs, let's do it on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's right around the 7th or 8th row on that guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to put it about the same. You want to have it kind of centered from the head to the neck, but if you're putting the bow tie on, you want to have them a little up a little higher, just so the bow tie isn't in the way of the mouth when you do the mouth. And just play with them. Like, I'm wondering if mine's a little bit on the low side. Keep them even, 2 or 3 stitches apart. The main thing is to make sure they are starting on the same height on the row. So even if they're a little high or a little low, as long as they're even. Like, I'll have to look at this later and fix it, I'm sure. I won't my pin go through. Okay, let's do the bow. Okay, for the bow tie, get kind of a tealy green color, and you're going to start a chain. But when you make your knot, you want to have, I don't know, give yourself about 12 inches. You're not going to need that much, but one side, this side's going to tie around one side of him, and then your other end will tie around the back for the other side. So make your loop high up with a tail on one end. And then we're going to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then in your second chain, or yeah, I guess chain from your hook, you're going to do start and go 6 single crochets all the way down. So 1, 2, 3, oops, I didn't go through both sides there. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, I made this about 2 months ago, and it took me probably well, I only just sewed the eyes on that one a week ago, so I can't remember if I chained 1 here or not. Let's chain 1 just because that's the rule. And then we're going to do 6 single crochets along the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're just going to tie that off, and remember, bring yourself a long enough tail so you can make a bow at the back of the guy's neck. Mine is probably way longer than I need, but it's a lot easier to cut it than it is to try and grow more, you have to redo it. Okay. So thread one of your ends. How did I do this? And you want to bring that back to the middle. So if this is a stitch, this is a stitch, stitch, stitch. So right about where those two stitches. So 1, 2, and then in between the next stitch. That might be a little tricky. I gotta come around my camera here. I'm gonna end up knocking it over. Okay. I'm gonna do the same thing with the other side. So basically you're going through 2.5 stitches. If you don't do quite right, it's not going to matter because you can move your thread around as you wrap it. So you have both your ends now in the middle, and you've got to kind of fix this little knot so it's not poking out. And just remember that that's going to be your back side. Give them a tie, not very tight because you don't want to bring the edges in, just so they stay the same length that you just made them. Because now you're going to wrap one of your strings around a couple times to turn that into a little bow tie shape. And then when you feel I'm going to do 3. When you feel like you got it how you want it, you're just, yeah, that's better. You're just going to knot it in the back so it stays nice and tight. And try and get your knot so it's in the center. Otherwise your bow tie will kind of want to flip forward or backwards on his neck. I got all these strings in the way. Then you're just going to tie it in the back. Just a little bow. Give yourself a little bit of extra and then you can trim it to make it a little more even. I think my eyes moved. Oh, they did. Okay, and then for the mouth, get your black again. What is happening with this? Sorry guys, I'm not even watching that. Something's... And you want your mouth to just kind of be a row below your eyes. So if your eyes end, say your eyes are ending on this, sew your eyes on first before you do your mouth. I'm just going to show you the mouth. So come up somewhere down here. Put your mouth, is that too high? I can't find, there it is. I don't think it matters how long it is, you just want to make sure that it's straight across and the same amount. So I'm going to put it there temporarily and then come back out the same hole you went in. This won't be near as awkward if you have your stuff sewn on already. I don't know what I did there. Pulled the wrong way, I guess. There we go. And then you'll just tie this and thread it throughout the back. And there you go. I'll let you guys sew your own things on. For the ears, you're just going to loop it around about 3 rows of stitches. And then the eyes, once you get them even and where you want them, you just go in. Sometimes I do this one, sometimes I do them both. Go in, down, around, back in, down, around. And there you go. I guess I should say like and subscribe. Let me know if you enjoyed this video in the comments. Feel free to make as many as you want, sell them. Just don't claim this pattern as your own. And happy crocheting!